Good day, everyone, and welcome back to the course. In this topic, we are going to be looking at referencing. Referencing is one of the fantastic tools that we have in Excel spreadsheet. And what do we mean by referencing? Referencing it works with respect to a formula bar. Let us look at example. Firstly, before we look at example, there are three types of referencing. We have the relative referencing, absolute referencing, and the mixed referencing. Let us start with relative referencing. Relative referencing is when you are doing a particular operation with respect to other columns or with other cells that you are referencing. For instance, I'm going to start with, I want to get the total. These are my students, their math and English score. I want to get the total as usual. Remember, I'll start with my equal sign, then I can type sum. Remember this, then I can just pick these two, then I can close the bracket or not. Now, if you look at your formula, you see that it is saying from B2, you have a colon C2. It is telling us that the numbers ranges from B2 to C2. If I click on enter, then that's it. You see that I've done the first for my first student, who is Ajala. For the next student, who is Ajoke, and the other one, which is Linda, I don't want to still write the formula again, some blah 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 like that. I just want it to work. And if you remember the way we said you can do that, just double click when the icon is showing black, double click, then it's going to give you all these. So this is telling us that this is a relative referencing. It is adding up this number, then when it comes down, relative to what you are having here, it is also adding these two. Relative to what we are having in this particular row, it is also adding these two. Relative to the fifth row, row 5, it is also adding these two. The same thing and on till you have, you can see all these that we have. So this is telling us this is relative referencing. It is going to be adding with respect to the two columns or the column that you have selected earlier. For instance, let me also do this. Let's say I want to also do sum. I'm doing sum of just two numbers. This, then I'm going to type addition and this. So that in fact I don't need to write the sum again. I can just remove the sum. Yes, this and this. Then click on enter. It means that I'm only adding the total and the mathematics score. So if I drill down, I just double click, then it comes down. What you are going to be having will be the mass and the total. Mass and total for each of them. You can see. So that is relative score. Now, relative referencing, sorry. Now, if you go to absolute referencing, it means that you want to fix a particular cell. You want to fix it. You don't want to make any adjustments. And I'm going to paint a scenario. Firstly, let me delete all this. You don't need that again. For instance, if I want to know the percentage of each of these score in the total obtainable score, the total obtainable score for sure is 200. Obtainable score is 200. Obtainable score OM is 200. Now, one thing I want to do now, I want this 200 to come down. I don't need to be typing, just double click, then it's going to come down. Remember this icon, if you check, it says copy cells. Copy cells means that it's going to copy the same number or the content is going to copy it down. Cool. Now, this is the total obtainable score. This is the score of the student. So I want to get what is the percentage of this score in the total obtainable score. So what I'm going to do right away is I'm going to take my equal sign, 126 divided slash by 200. Yes, and it's going to give me this number in decimal. Then I can click on percentage and change it to percentage. So if I double click this, I'm going to have all that. You observe that I'm having 130 is telling me that it is 65% of 200. 127 is telling us that it is 64% of 200 and so on and so forth. 159 is 80% of 200. You can see another 159 is still 80%. Here, 160 is 80%, but it is rounding it up. That is why it is over 80%. But what I've just done now is a manual way, like a beginner way of doing that calculation. Normally, I don't need to type 200 all down. What I need to do is to just add 200, maybe the first 200 that I have now, and I'm going to fix it in my calculation. Let us see. I'm going to start with my equal sign. I'm dividing this by this first one, 200. But this 200 that I have is on E2. So I'm going to place my cursor here. I'm going to press F4 on my keyboard. Check your keyboard F4. In some keyboard, you may not, if you click on F4, the function may not work easily. You might need to click on function Fn, the last row on your keyboard, Fn, press it down, then click on F4 for it to work. It depends on the kind of keyboard you are using. But generally, if you click on F4, it should change it. If you see what is changing, it is putting a dollar sign before E, that is column E, and it is also putting a dollar sign before row 2. That means that it has fixed that particular cell. This E2, it has fixed it. In all the calculation, it will always be dividing it by 200. Good. So let us drag down and let's observe what has happened here. Drag down. You can see everything. You can see then. Let's just change all this to percentage. Cool. It is going to be the same thing with what we are having here, but let us check the formula. You see, divided by 200, the 200 is fixed. If you come here as well, the 200 is fixed. If you come here as well, 200 is fixed. If you come here as well, 200 is fixed. If you come here, the 200 is fixed. So, fixing of this 200 with the $2 sign is what is known as absolute referencing. That means that you have fixed that particular cell for it not to change. While other cell can be changing, you can see the D starting from the first one, D2, when it goes down, it changes to D3, to D4. That is still using relative referencing, but the other one, the denominator, has been fixed, and that is absolute referencing. Now, for mixed referencing is talking about the concept of combining both relative referencing and absolute referencing together. This is what I mean. So, what I want to do now is I want to get the percentage of this mathematics score in this total score and the percentage of the English score in the total score as well. So, M for math and E for English. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to put my equal sign. Remember, any operation you want to do in Excel start with equals, mass divided by the total. Then you have that. If you just double click this, it's going to give you all the, but what will be happening is relative referencing. Remember, this relative referencing will be changing. But what I want to do is I want to fix this particular column. So if I put my cursor here and I click on F4, F4 is going to give us a dollar sign in both for the D, column D and row 2. That means it has fixed that particular cell. So I click on enter and let us double click. You're going to observe what I've said now. You can see this has been fixed, but that is not what I want to do. So if I check also, you can see it has been fixed. That is not what I want. I want it to also be changing. So I'm going to place my cursor here in the formula bar, click on my F4 again. Now the dollar sign is in front of 2 and it is telling us that this row 2 is fixed, but that is not what I want. It's the D, column D that I want. I'm going to click on the dollar sign F4 again. Good, and this is what I want. You can see it has fixed column D and it is releasing row 2. So the row can be changing from 2 to 3 to 4, while the column will be static. I need to do it for the first one here so that I can just double click and that is fine. Correct. So if I just double click here, this is going to give me all this. So you can see that this column is fixed. This column is fixed. If I check for others, this column is fixed, but the rows are changing, and that is very, very correct. One might argue that, okay, what if I just divide the two straight up? I don't put any mixed referencing. It is still going to work. Yes, that's correct. It's going to work. You can see we're having the same figure. But the challenge with this is whenever you copy this formula, the second one now, you copy it and you place it here, you paste it here. So your formula is going to change like a relative reference. You can see it is moving to the next column and this is also moving. So this is doing, the division that is happening here is English divided by the obtainable score, but that is not what I want. I want this particular column to be fixed. So that is why I'm fixing that here. So now I'm going to copy this formula, Ctrl C, and I'm going to paste it here. Okay, the formula is here actually, sorry. The formula is here, Control C. Okay, let me delete all these so that we won't get confused. Good. Control C here, and I'm going to place it here, paste it here, sorry, Control V. Now see what happens. You observe that the column changes from B to C, that's the numerator, C to, but this D does not change because I have fixed this particular column, and that is the essence of mix referencing. So if I double click down, it's going to give me all these. So it is giving me the division of the English score divided by the total score for each of the students. Let us still check this and see that is what we are having. So I can convert all this to percentage for us to know the percentage that we have gotten at the end of the day. So that is the difference between relative referencing. Remember, it will be changing across, and absolute referencing is when you are fixing a particular column, and mixed referencing is when you are adjusting, releasing the column, uh, fixing the row, or fixing the row and fixing the column. This is what is actually used if you want to do multiplication table, or you want to calculate maybe the CGPA, or you can also use it for, they also use it for some accounting or financial modeling. We use a lot of relative, absolute, and mixed referencing in law. Thank you very much. I hope you like this topic. I'll see you in the next topic. Thank you.